This is the 17th season of Bass Talk Live with your hosts, Mark Jeffries and Matt Pingrack. BTL is brought to you by Lawrence, Bass Cat Boats, APCO, Ducket Fishing, Strike King Lures, Sunline, Big Bite Baits, Spro, Exo Lures, Yamagatsu, The Bass Tank, and Denali Rods. BTL coming at you. Good Tuesday, everybody. Welcome once again to another edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where Matt and I are going to talk bass fishing and anything else that we want to talk about. And Matt, yeah, we have a lot to talk about this morning, don't we?
Yeah, now I'm worried that I missed your birthday. Everyone's saying happy birthday to you.
Yeah, that was yesterday. So
your birthday was yesterday.
We're gonna continue to roll here. We got a lot to catch up on. And
happy birthday.
The first thing...
How old are you?
I don't even want to talk about it, dude. The first thing that I really want to get into
I did not know that yesterday was your birthday.
I got a phone
call. No, we got to pause right here for just a second. Yes, we're pausing.
No.
Yes, we're pausing.
What?
Happy birthday.
I
was completely unaware that yesterday...
It's just another day. How many years you been with me, man? 17?
Yeah, we're not good at remembering each other's birthdays.
Okay. It is what it is. It's all good.
You didn't remember my birthday last year?
We made a big deal about it on the show. So, yeah. Anyway, I want to move on. I got a lot to talk about. And first of all, I want to do this. I want to say thanks to all the fans out there that sent us feedback from the show that we did yesterday. It was a fantastic show. And the feedback that we got from the fans, just incredible. It was a very emotional kind of day yesterday, but thank you so much to all the fans out there that gave us a response, gave us feedback about the show. Matt did a great job getting those guests lined up, and it was just a fantastic way to remember somebody that definitely, hopefully, their legacy will continue through many, many years of everybody involved in this game.
Did you see what Billy Egan announced?
I did not.
That the U.S. Open trophy is now the Aaron Martens Memorial Trophy.
It's a great move. Great move. And I applaud Billy for doing that. And hopefully there was discussion yesterday that Matt and I had about the leagues coming to a decision on somehow, some way making kind of the Gale Sayers trophy of the NFL for each of the leagues, and really showcasing and recognizing somebody that is an important part of the industry each year, both on and off the water, for everything that they're involved with, from the style and the manner that Aaron conducted himself both on and off the water. So we'll see if that comes. I spoke to somebody at MLF yesterday, and we talked a little bit about that, and they're going to take a look at it. So I was fired up to hear about that.
For all organizations.
Yeah. All right. So moving on, the first thing that I want to mention, I got a phone call yesterday early afternoon, and this phone call was from one Mike Iaconelli. And I spoke to Mike for, I don't know, probably 20, 30 minutes. And, some of the listeners may not realize out there, Ike and I have been friends for a long time.
I mean, there's the photo right there.
Yeah.
When he jumped in the water after the spotted bass and grabbed the line.
Yeah.
You were there.
I was very vocal on the show that I personally thought, and Mike never told me anything, I personally thought that he was not going to fish the Elite Series due to his commitment to his family and his commitment to this new venture that he is on via the television series that he has put together, where he is in total control. And a lot of people out there may not realize that a lot of the other TV products that he has put out there, he did not have the control in the product itself. Well, with this new TV product, he is in total control. He controls everything. So it was really my feeling that he was going to dedicate and kind of put more time into his television product and also continue to spend more time with his family. Well, we talked for quite some time, and he told me, he said, I'm going to fish the Elite Series, and I want to end. That's the way that I feel that I want to go out whenever that time is. Like, he didn't put a timetable on it. Heck, it might be 10 years from now. But he said one of the key points of his decision, and I know he made the announcement last night on Ike Live. I did not watch it because it was my birthday, and we went out to dinner and kind of hung out and did some other things, went and saw some friends. Anyway, I did not watch it, but he told me yesterday afternoon that he was going to fish the Elite Series, and one of the biggest decisions that went into that was, I think he said 5 of the events of the 9, his family is going to be able to be there with him. And that was a big, big factor. And I told him, I said, I think it's awesome. I think that it's going to be so enjoyable to see you do what you do on the Elite Series, and the fans are going to be enormously happy. And I think the feedback from the fans when he made the announcement last night was jubilant. I think fans are absolutely 100% fired up that he's going to be back on the Elite Series, and we're going to see Ike do what Ike does. And, kind of a little asterisk note to this, in my opinion, how cool would it be that when he finally does decide, hey, I'm done, I'm going to retire from tournament fishing, that he would go out and he would have just a really solid Elite Series season, and that fans across the nation, he makes the announcement, 2030 is going to be my last year. This is going to be my last year on the Elite Series. And every stop that we go to, they could actually recognize Mike, and the fans of that area could actually show their appreciation for what Ike has brought to this game from a performance standpoint and from an entertainment standpoint for all of these years. So I was wrong. I readily admit I was wrong, but I understand why he is making the decision. And he told me yesterday that absolutely family and that television show was a big factor into it. Now, here's the good news. He is going to continue to do the television show, because I had a little bit of concern. Dude, you're kind of stretching yourself a little thin. But he said, no. He said, we're going to continue doing it. We're going to shoot. And I can't remember the number of shows that they're going to shoot. But I think it is very, very cool that Mike Iaconelli is going to be fishing the Bassmaster Elite Series again. Matt?
Can I offer maybe a little peace offering?
For what?
How about you don't owe me the 12-pack and we call it even, since
Dude,
I forgot your birthday?
You need to get over it. It doesn't bother me. Just move on. It's just another day. Now, next year is a big birthday.
Because it starts with a 6?
That's right. All right? Next year is a big birthday. And Carolyn and I, we were actually talking last night. It was like 9 years ago, we had that infamous party for my 50th birthday. And
I've done some stuff for your birthday.
Dude,
remember, we sent you to the World Series of Poker for your 50th birthday.
That was the last time Carolyn said she was drunk 9 years ago. And boy, was she drunk.
That was 9 years that we sent you to the World Series of Poker? That was your 50th birthday.
Well, no, it was I think it was that next year. I don't think that had anything to do with my birthday. That was like 2 years later at Fish and Chips up at Grant.
I thought that was not was for your 50th.
No, the 50th was when we did Fish and Chips at Arbuckle. Because I have the poster up in the TV room. Anyway, 9 years ago, it was an epic party that we had. There were so many people in this house because we decided to do the 50th party in coordination with Fish and Chips that we were having here in Norman down at Lake Arbuckle. So it was epic. And it was kind of cool that Rojas was on that show, because Rojas was a big part of that party that we had 9 years ago.
Did he remember?
Oh, yeah.
Yesterday?
Ike did.
Yesterday?
Yeah.
Okay, we're moving on.
Yeah, we're moving on, dude.
Yeah.
Anyway, comments on it.
So here's the interesting thing now, as we see, I guess the two biggest names that had participated on the BPT that have moved over now this upcoming season would be Jacob Porosnik, who qualified through the Opens, and now Mike Iaconelli, who qualified through the Northerns in that crazy 3-way tie. So now it's Ike, Jason Christie, Greg Hackney, Justin Atkins, Scott Martin, who never fished the BPT. I don't actually know what happened there, if he actually had a chance to or not. But anyway, he's on the Elite Series now. Yeah. Then Jacob Porosnik, Brandon Polinick, and Gerald Swindle, all Atkins hadn't fished and Scott hadn't, but the rest of them all back on the Elite Series for the 2022 season.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's interesting. We had a little discussion off air, though, like what does that mean? What does it mean? Because you still have a bunch of big names over at the BPT.
It's great. It's great for everybody, man. And you hear me talk about this several times about you have to do and you strive to do things that are good for all parties involved. The anglers, the organizations, the fans, and the sponsors. And it is just going to be so refreshing, and I think it's going to be fulfilling for him that when the time comes that he does retire, that's the place he needs to be. Do you agree with that?
I agree. Like I said, I thought he was going I didn't talk to him. I don't really talk to him.
Yeah.
But just the way he was when no one was around, when he found out that he had qualified and was waiting for that 5 minutes between, I'm going to get like a Ronnie Moore call that's like, you're in, Ike. The numbers crunching. Like, I was like, that is not a guy who's like excited to have an option.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it was a guy who was like, oh, hell yeah, I'm back on the Elite Series.
Yeah. Yeah. And, if you noticed that it was a decision that just wasn't Mike's decision, too. It was a
family decision.
It was a family decision.
Well, I mean, he's got a family empire. With what they do there at him at Becky, I mean, don't they have like a marketing deal at him and the whole, and now you've got, Vegas and Stella. That's a whole
empire. I don't know if it's an empire.
Where's a bigger empire? Scott Martin's got an empire. Ike has an empire.
Fishing?
In the fishing industry. Is there a bigger empire than Ike? Look, there's a Ike has got his own line of socks. He's got an energy drink up there.
I know.
He's an empire. He's got the TV shows, the past, the present, the YouTube. I mean, it's an empire.
He is up there,
in the fishing industry.
You're
Is there a bigger empire besides Scott Martin?
Probably not. From a
KVD maybe.
From a just revenue marketing positioning place.
Yeah, it's Ike. He's every tentacle has been explored.
Yeah. And I'll say this too, folks, just in case you haven't seen it. I actually did a documentary, and I don't even remember how many years ago. Do you remember when he won at Philly?
16, I want to say.
Okay, I did it in 17.
14?
I did it the
15?
year after he won in Philly. Whatever year that was. Anyway, I did a documentary, and if you haven't seen this 20 Feet Deep documentary, you need to go back and watch it. You can find it on basszone.com. You can find it on YouTube also. And you're really going to see a side of Ike that not too many people really get to see, how he really was brought up and what he went through, and just a personal side of Ike that a lot of people really don't know. And we went back to those steps in Philly and reflected and crossed kind of the boundaries of some of the controversial stuff that has happened throughout his career. So if you haven't, that's a plug, but I think it's well worth the time to go back if you have not watched the documentary on Ike. But
The Ike Way?
Yeah.
The Ike Way. Yeah. We got a great show today also. We have like 4 or 5 other major bullet points that we need to talk about. So we want to have our guest on and then talk about that?
No, there's one that we need to address because there was some other breaking news that took place over the weekend. Kind of, I don't know if it was Friday, Thursday, what day it actually took place. But with the NPFL, there was a lot of stuff flying around there, rumors and things going on. And then
Friday,
I have been bombarded with emails and people wanting us to talk about it. And look, folks, this is what I'm going to say. I have stated numerous times on this show that our premise is we are all about factual information. And if something takes place in this industry, I am all about approaching it from a journalistic perspective. I'm not going to speculate. I'm not going to comment on things that I have no idea what has taken place. That's where you get in trouble. And to be fair to the organization and to be fair to all parties involved with this situation as to why the championship was canceled and to clear the air of all the rumors and speculation that exists out there on social entertainment, I went to the source, and I have reached out to the source and given them basically an open invitation to come on this show and give them an opportunity to give Matt and myself the facts, to give the fans the facts. Now, I get it. There might be information that is very sensitive, and they just don't want to talk about it, and I respect that. But since this story has went down, I have remained silent because I respect what they have been trying to do and trying to accomplish. And typically when you have adversity that exists in a business, most of the time people are 100% focused on conquering that adversity, whatever it is. Now, we don't know. We can speculate. We can imagine. We can come up with any theory that we want. But the right thing to do is to give the guy an opportunity to come on this show and have an explanation from the source. So I've reached out to Al with the NPFL. I've extended an invitation. If he accepts or rejects that invitation, I will let you guys know. And if he never responds and just doesn't want to talk about it, I'm going to accept that too. That's his business. So if he wants to come on the show, he is more than welcome to come on the show and give us an explanation or give us just a status or whatever he wants to talk about from an NPFL standpoint. That's it. I'm not going to discuss it anymore. I'm not going to give an opinion on it. Business is hard. It doesn't matter what you're in. Business is very, very difficult. And when adversity comes along, you have a massive challenge to overcome that adversity. Now, when you're in the public eye, sometimes because of the presence that you have in this industry, sometimes it's a good idea to at least let people know that your business is headed this direction or that direction. All right? We don't need to know the blood and guts of what's going on. What we need, and I think what the fans want to know is what's going on. Mm-hmm. That's all they want to know. And I'm not going to speculate. It's not my job to speculate. So Al has an open invitation to come on the show anytime he wants and give the fans, basically a statement or just inform and let everybody know exactly what's going on from the source. And that's it, man. I'm done talking about it.
That's fair. The press release that there was no Nickajack Championship, which is what we're talking about, the National Professional Fishing League. They fished all 6 events. The top 25 qualified for the no entry fee championship with a payout to the entire field. It was announced to the anglers that that wasn't happening. I will say that, talking to several, I think it was a situation that developed very quickly and unexpectedly. You know what I mean? It wasn't like something that was 6 months in the making, and perhaps some of that lack of clarity or a statement while this was going down was scrambling to try to figure out what exactly they're doing so they can put out a statement that is actually what they're doing. And I'm not sure they knew what they were doing during kind of the time that all these rumors. But here's the statement. This is the shortest. It's not even a press release. It's just a statement that they came out. So the championship event scheduled for 11th, 12th, and 13th, 2021 is being canceled. We notified all qualifying participants of the specific issues at hand. We appreciate the support of the league's anglers, their families, and the fans in having to make this difficult decision. We will be having a 2022 season and look forward to announcing our schedule to the loyal fan base post haste. Stay tuned, the National Professional Fishing League. So, like you said, there's all sorts of rumors running around about what 22 is going to look like, what's going to happen, the fallout moving forward. all sorts of things on it. And I think just take your approach. And if they want to explain that or have an angler explain that, something like anything that we say is simply just going to be what we've heard second, third hand, and the best places to go to a source, because you don't want to mess with, I mean, obviously these people have put a lot of time, effort, lives, career, energy into it.
Yeah.
And I think we leave it at that.
Yeah, I think one thing that people forget, business is a very, very emotional thing.
And they did a great job this year.
They did.
Like, really good.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I feel like we gave them a fair shake, talked about it, had some of the winners on, have had John, who won 2 of them, suck up in studio and talked about it, and I mean, treated it like a viable professional league that paid off. And there were a lot of guys that made. I mean, there were over 14 guys that made, I believe, over $45,000 on that tour with the $30,000 entry fee. So, you know, a couple guys over $100,000. You look at Keith Carson and Suckup and a number of guys that really became kind of, I guess I would say, household names for that league because of the opportunity that it presented. So hopefully that opportunity will still exist for anglers moving forward. And like I said in this press release, it will be there in 2022.
Yeah,
so.
and we want them to succeed. Hopefully they will get the necessary whatever. But as far as, you know, everything goes at this point right there, that's it. And we're moving on.
All right.
We'll
probably move on to our guest then, and then we'll circle back because there is a Ray Hanselman-like season going on the West Coast. We'll actually have him on next week. Ken Ma did something pretty crazy out there in California. Also, want to dive back to our old friend Terry Brown, who penned an article last week in the Pantograph back there where I grew up in central Illinois.
You got some stuff going on, don't you?
It's going to cost a lot more to fish like club tournaments and taxes and all sorts of stuff that's got a lot of tournament anglers in Illinois not that thrilled, so I kind of dove into that. We'll talk it. But up next, we're going to talk to Andrew Upshaw. I was like, dude, we haven't had Andrew on the show like in ages, and he's got a ton of stuff going on. I know your business element, all sorts of stuff going on in the industry now, and I'd be like, he is a perfect guest right now as we kind of dive into Business Week, which is kind of what I had coined this week. Obviously, yesterday had extenuating circumstances, but we're going to talk business tomorrow. We're going to talk business today with Andrew Upshaw and all things that are going on. So he'll be our guest when we return.
All right.
You okay? Happy belated birthday,
man.
Mark.
Thank you.
Happy 59th birthday.
59. That's me. Next year, big bash. Might even invite some fans over.
I feel so bad. Now I'm going to have to go buy a belated birthday gift.
No, dude, it's just another day. Next year, the big 6-0.
You felt kind of, I feel like you were salty about it, though.
No.
I sensed some tension.
No, not at all.
Okay.
I had a great day yesterday.
I'm glad you did.
Had a great day. All right, folks, coming back with Andrew Upshaw. Everybody stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Elite FS puts the full range of Lowrance fish finding tools at your fingertips. Find fish with active imaging 3-in-1 with Fish Reveal. Target fish with active target live sonar and watch fish react to your lure as it happens. Built-in C-Map Contour Plus charts make it easy to find key fishing areas. But best-in-class charts and powerful sonar is only the beginning. It's easy to build your fully networked FS system. From sonar and waypoint sharing to controlling the Ghost trolling motor and power poles. Lowrance Elite FS. Targeting fish just got easier.
The new Puma STS has been redesigned from the ground up. With the angler, design, function, and performance in mind, nothing on this new offering was compromised, and the only thing carried over from the previous version is the name. Based on the Soft Touch series hull that started with the flagship Jaguar, this new model is nimble and performs incredibly well at all speeds with either a 250 or 300 horsepower engine. Featuring a new 96-inch wide-body footprint, this hull measures out at 20 foot 7 inches in length. Industry-leading design coupled with tournament-winning performance. The Puma STS from Basscat. Feel the rush.
There's one.
You know what works. Now you need a bunch of them so you don't run out on your next fishing trip. The Big Bite Pro Packs feature 25 baits per pack at a price far below that of having to buy 5 packs of regular baits. Now the Pro Pack has a big brother, the Mega Pack. The Mega Pack features 100 of your favorite baits.
With these, one bag is usually plenty to get through the day, It helps me stay organized, helps me save money, helps me catch more fish.
Combining one of the most popular hook styles with Gamakatsu's beefier Superline offering, the Gamakatsu Superline Offset Round Bend delivers the strength necessary to target big fish in heavy cover. Well suited for braided line and heavier fluorocarbon, the Gamakatsu Superline Offset Round Bend is built using stronger Superline wire that allows anglers to easily fish a finesse worm around heavy cover. The round bend offers a larger bite area, perfect for any worm presentation, while increasing your hookup ratios. The newly enhanced Z-bend holds your plastics on the hook longer, reducing the number of pull-offs and reducing damage to plastics. Available in 2/0, 3/0, 4/0, and 5/0, this is the most durable worm hook, designed for heavier lines that hold your bait on longer.
So, you're looking to buy fishing electronics, huh? Are you also looking for true experts to help guide you through it? Well, at the Bass Tank, you've come to the right place. We are live forward-facing sonar pioneers with thousands of hours spent learning through winning trophies, cashing checks, and just having fun. Whatever brand you need, we have it. We offer free shipping, and we have 2 financing options available. Our experts are here to help you. Call us today or visit thebasstank.com.
Preparation is key to success. And that preparation starts well before you ever hit the water. You're only as strong as your connection to the fish, and your line is that critical connection. Confidence in your line every minute of every day on the water is a necessity, and failure, it's not an option. Sunline makes the fluorocarbon, nylon, and braided lines to give you the strength to guarantee your confidence.
I've made my living on the water for over 20 years.
For 14 years.
For over 23 years.
I've worn a bunch of different clothing brands over the years.
Some companies big.
And some companies small.
All of them said they were making clothing for us.
But none of them knew us.
None of them were us.
Except for one.
Except for one.
Except one.
AFCO.
AFCO.
AFCO. AFCO.
Fishing isn't part of us. It is us.
Everyone, Brandon Palnick here. People always be asking me what I got tied on. I'm like, X-Zone Lures. And they're like, Brandon, why you got X-Zone Lures tied on? And I'm like, let me show you why.
The bite.
Get out of there. Get out of there. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's pretty. Get in here. Oh, God. Giant. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh.
I think you get the point.
All right, we are back on a Tuesday. Mark and Matt in studio. And
What?
No, man. I did not get Velcro shoes yesterday for my birthday. I'm not there yet, man. Although it is easier, but no, I'm not there
The other
yet.
thing that I was possibly considering was getting a one of those live cameras. You know, like you can have a camera that you can like have a live looking at your pets, and then having it installed in your backyard under the new patch of fescue. So at any time, no matter where you are, you could log in and just check the status
of my fescue.
of your luscious lawn.
No.
I thought you would maybe enjoy that.
That's pretty funny, though, man. Pretty funny. Very, very good creative thinking there on your part and a lot of other people. All right, it is time to go to our guest. Excited to get him on. He's got a lot of stuff going on, Matt.
Yeah. Yes. He has a lot of different things. Like I've seen it in action too. And sometimes it runs like a well-oiled machine. And like Hallman and I will look at each other.
Yeah.
And Hallman's like, that boy just never rests. And then other times we'll look at each other and be like, he's on the verge of a mental breakdown when he's trying. I mean, like it's just crazy how many different kind of like Ike on a different level, but exploring how do you make a viable living in this industry and support a family and still focus on fishing and still enjoy your life. And he's kind of figured it out.
Yeah. All right, let's bring him in. Andrew, welcome to the show, man.
Hi, thanks for having me, guys. And I must say one thing, Matt, I cannot believe you forgot Mark's birthday. I even remember Mark's birthday.
It's no big deal. It's just another day. Now,
it is a big deal. Did you or listen it in the queue? Did it not seem like there was a little bit of tension?
I mean, I'm not going to take sides on that, but all I'm going to say is I wouldn't forget my best buddy that sits across from me for so many years on a radio or a podcast and not to wish him a happy birthday. Like, I don't know. That's pretty bad, Matt. I just wanted to start with that, but
hey, it's just another day, man. Now, next year, as I mentioned, 60 is a big day.
Hey,
so,
here's my question. If you're already in the doghouse, where's the next step? Like you can't
the outhouse.
The outhouse.
The outhouse. All right,
dude. Fair assessment, fair introduction, Andrew.
Yeah, I would say so.
All right.
Yeah. All right, man. Let's jump right in. Before we get into all the things that you have going on currently, I want to talk a little bit about your performance on the water this year at the Opens, and when you look back and you reflect on what went right, what went wrong, what are you going to change? How would you kind of sum up your season, Andrew?
I would actually sum up my season as a hot mess, and mainly because it was a season of almost, and not just because we almost made the elites, but every single tournament minus one. The Douglas Lake tournament, I just didn't have the opportunities at that particular event. But every single event, I had opportunities. I left points on the board through lost fish, bad decision making, whatever it may have been, and you can't do that on the Bassmaster Open. So, although it looks good on paper, finished 8th overall, had 5 of 9 checks cashed, and all those great things. At the end of the day, I look back at the mistakes I made and say, okay, how can I be better next time? And I think if you don't ever have that goal set or that mindset when you're going into it, you're not ever going to be successful. So I know what I did wrong, and I see a good path to do well next year.
I believe you're one of only 3 anglers that fished all 9, though, that never had a triple-digit finish throughout the entire year. And when you're dealing with an average, on average, all 9 Opens had 209 anglers. That's pretty impressive with your lowest finish being 90th. But that also had to be frustrating. So, Mark, listen to this. This is in order for all 9. And remember, the top 40 get paid. Mm-hmm. You want to talk about a roller coaster. 25th, 90th, 23rd, 83rd, 31st, 93rd, 40th, 84th, 34th. Like, how do you go every other event like that? Like, you could never do that again if you tried to.
No, it was really frustrating because, if you look at, just for instance, James River, I was in really good shape after day 1. I had 5 keeper bites on day 2, and I lost 3 really big ones. Or 6 keeper bites. I lost 3 really big ones, and I weighed in a 12-incher and still had 9 pounds and dropped like 40 places in that particular event. It was just little things like that. Second day night, I had a chance to have a really big bag on day 2. Still got a good finish there, but had a chance at a top 10. And when you're fishing against 209 to 225 boats in every tournament, a top 10 is a extremely big deal. Anytime you can get that chance, you better make the best of it. And it just was a lot of little decisions like that. Little fish, I lost a couple of fish right at the boat, trying to grab them. And that's one thing about fishing the Opens. We don't get to use a net. Makes it a little bit more difficult. But I am learning every day. I feel like I'm getting better every event, despite having a few events where the finishes aren't quite where I want them to be. So I'm really looking forward to next year. I think it'll be a really, really good year.
Are there just some years where you just go, man, it didn't work out? Because you've had one of those years where it worked out. That would be the 2019 season. You did over 100K. You won the Toyota Championship. You won an FLW Tour event. You were top 5 in the points in the Costa Series back then. You made the Forest Wood. Like, you had one of those years in 19, and it seemed, and also rooming with you, like, it just like you did a lot of this right things this year and it just didn't work out. Is it easier to put like a 2021 with the missed opportunities behind, knowing that you made the right decisions and that some of the fish didn't come in the boat? And like you look back on 19 and you're like, I made the same decisions. I just put them in the boat and look what the results could be.
Yeah, I mean, we can always look back at, the 2020 of everything. I can say, okay, like, if I'd have just done this would
Hallman's doing that right now every day. It's pretty interesting.
I know, man. I feel bad. But wow. the deal is we all have those particular situations where, I mean, I can look back at quite a few tournaments where I truly believe if I would have done this one thing, I would have won the tournament. Like, legitimately won the tournament. but like that's what makes you better for the next time. Like I learned stuff prior to winning Cherokee, prior to winning Cumberland, that helped me to win those particular events. So I had a bad tournament that taught me a lesson, or I learned a technique that taught me a lesson going into those particular events. So I'm just going to tell you, we got a few tournaments on the schedule this year that I'm really excited about, and I want some revenge, like a James River Oneida, just to name a few. Hartwell, I had a chance to win at Hartwell last year in 2020. There's a few events that I'm sitting there looking and saying, hey, I'm going to rock them. They better catch them.
Wow. All right. Let's kind of move on here. I want to know, can you explain how difficult or easy it is to try and balance what you have going on the water with everything you have going on off the water?
Oh, it's extremely hard to balance. I mean, let's just say, for instance, today is my anniversary, so happy anniversary to my wife.
Happy anniversary.
8 years.
Nice.
And I leave in 2 days to go to the Amazon, to go to go film 2 shows for Scott Martin and 1 show for another network. And I mean, I've got a lot going on. I mean, it's literally, people look at the tournament scene. They're like, okay, well, you're only fishing 9 tournaments that are scattered across a 10-month time span. But the deal is I don't stop 12 months out of the year. Like, I don't know what a weekend is, late. Like, if I might be working at 8 and 9 o'clock at night on weekends. Like, there's just no, like, set time. So, like, trying to balance everything is extremely difficult. I have to set certain times to do certain things. I have to somewhat schedule my life out, especially since my wife is very, very schedule oriented. And so, but I mean, it's very hard. It's extremely hard.
You have dropped basically. I mean, I know you took a little bit of a break, and we'll talk about why a little bit later. But you basically drop like a video a day or a video every other day, but extremely active on YouTube. And it's important for you to kind of keep a schedule and just kind of talk about how YouTube has played into your career. And I'll just ask it, like, do you actually make any like money off of that? Like, is that like a revenue stream? Is that something that your sponsors like just see because of the impressions? Like, where's the value of YouTube and the consistent YouTube content fit into like your overall kind of package as an angler?
It's really funny you ask that, because the deal is, this is a question I get a lot.
I should have asked you that off air. I mean, we roomed together. I've never asked you, like, do you actually make like decent?
Well, I'll start. I'll first hit the front part of it. So
Okay.
in 2019, when I decided to leave FLW, the one thing that I always made the excuse of is like, okay, how is FLW going to promote me? How is Bass going to promote me? How are all these other places going to promote me? And then I kind of took a reflection saying, why am I relying so much on other people to promote me? I need to promote myself. What's the best way to do that? I'd already started rooming with Scott. I'd seen how hard he worked, and I was like, man, I'm a lazy son of a gun. I need to quit being so lazy, outwork people even harder off the scene than I do on the scene. Because when it came to practice, I was there first, left last. I practiced so hard, just worked so hard. I needed to do more even than what I was doing. When I looked at YouTube, I was like, you know what? I'm going to hit it full force. What do I need to do to be successful? And I learned a lot from Scott. I mean, I wouldn't be where I'm at without him, as far as where I'm, mentally where I am with YouTube and my structure of it and all that kind of stuff. And so I learned, and I saw the importance of it. My sponsors contact me all the time saying how happy they are on my content. I'm keeping positive content. And just really working hard. And yes, you can make money on YouTube. It is very difficult to make money on YouTube. It takes great endorsements on the outside to help in that regard. But at the end of the day, you can make money, especially if you the more you post, the more views you get. So that's the deal. So like if you post every day and you're getting 5 to 10 to 20,000 views on every video, which I'm not getting that, you can make some good money. But finding the time to post quality content every single day is extremely difficult. And I think that's the hardest part, is trying to come up with new ideas every single time.
Burnout a big issue in that?
Yeah, I feel like, and I've done YouTube for the last couple of years now, and I think I go through about 2 to 3 burnouts a year.
Wow.
And it's just one of those where you just have to take a couple weeks and just like maybe post a video a week or something like that, and just take a step back and kind of regain yourself a little bit. Like you kind of lose yourself because you're so deep into it, to the point where you're like, okay, am I really putting out quality content right now? I need to take a step back, get some better ideas, and then come back with it whenever I'm ready.
All right, let's talk about next year. You know, do you have new stuff planned in the works for both on and off the water? What's kind of the plan on the water, and then what do you have going on off the water?
Man, I got so much. I mean, so I will be fishing the Opens again, no doubt about that. I've had a lot of people ask about the National Professional League and if I was going to fish that, and I'm not. I already have way too much going on. I honestly, I feel kind of like Ike and Ellie in that regard, like just a show and all these different things. I've got YouTube, social. I still do some work for Strike King and Lose, but I also am now the co-host of Let's Fish TV, which is on the Bally Sports Network. I'll be hosting anywhere between 15 and 18 episodes, in which I know it sounds like a lot, but I already hosted 13 this year. So on top of all my YouTube stuff, on top of all my travel stuff that I was doing, and tournaments, I also hosted 13 episodes of that particular TV show. So, I mean, I'll literally never stop in the year, it seems like, ever.
All right, real quick, can you give a short, very concise history of that show? The show, in some form or fashion, has been around for a long time, hasn't it?
Oh, it's been it was originally Fox Sports Outdoors. It was on like Fox Sports Southwest, Southeast, and it's still on those particular ones. I just think they changed the name of the network to Bally Sports. But it's on Bally Sports Southeast and Southwest. And it's been around for like 30 years. I mean, it's been around for a really long time.
And the host?
Barry Stokes is the host.
So that's the one where it's like, now let's go to the coast where Captain Jim tells us about the speckled trout, and then the dude with the hat comes on and he's like, well, we got a red tide, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. I mean, it is a fishing report show. We give fishing reports all throughout the South, and therefore, in your particular area, it kind of gives you an idea of what's going on. It has 39 episodes in the year.
Wow.
It is the most episodes of any particular TV show for fishing out there. I mean, in the physical year. So we are shooting shows like every other week. It is a lot of work, but it's definitely worthwhile.
Interesting. And the guy that you're doing this with, Barry Stokes, right?
Yep.
He's been around forever. A lot of people across the country may not be familiar with Barry, but Barry is very, very good at what he does. And I'm really kind of curious. Can you give us any insight on some of the stuff that doesn't really happen on camera during this television stuff? Because I think my impression of Barry is what I see on television. Is that the true Barry that we see, or is there another side of Barry?
No, that's the true Barry. I mean, he's 100% Barry 24/7. He's become a good friend of mine, a colleague. We've worked together well over the last few years. I've actually, a lot of people might not know, I don't promote it a lot or haven't promoted it a lot, but I've actually been guest hosting episodes for him for about, 4 years now, 5 years.
Wow.
So I've been in the TV scene for a little while now. Most of the time it's been 2 to 3 episodes a year. Last year it was 7. This year it was 13. So every year it's kind of progressed as I've gone along.
All right, Matt, one more question, then I'll send it to you. I have to ask this, Andrew. The consensus across the nation, people are cutting the cord. TV, the numbers as far as viewership are declining. Why go down the TV route?
It's so funny. Like, people are talking about TV being dead, and maybe network TV going to like places like Dish Network, DirecTV are starting to fade some, and it's because they charge outrageous prices as far as to even get the actual network. But now you have streaming platforms like YouTube TV, Hulu, and all these other places. Yeah. And once you get placement on one of those, it's really no different. I mean, it's just like people who come and watch YouTube all the time. There's still a market for for people who watch TV. I mean, they still watch TV shows. I mean, they still reach a ton of households. And my dog's in the background.
It's a
squeaking.
squeaky toy.
Yeah.
Oh, I know
like,
that
God,
name.
what's going on?
Hey, so here's the rule on BTL. If you have any sort of pet or animal interrupt, you then have to show that pet or animal on the show.
I don't know if I can pick this big son of a gun up.
Oh.
There you have it.
What's him or her and name?
And it's Domino. It's a female. And she's
All right,
about 10 months old.
That was a somewhat shocked Domino for those listening on iTunes. Oh, wide eye.
Wow.
Interesting. So is this something that you kind of, what's the word? Seeked out?
Sought after?
Sought out. Is this
communications major right there,
Is
Andrew.
this something that you sought out? Is it an opportunity that presented itself? Is it something that your sponsors were like, hey, this is how did it kind of evolve, from that and into co-hosting all these episodes then?
Well, the deal is once again, it's no different than trying to just market yourself with YouTube and everything else. But I had a fantastic teacher in Scott Martin. I mean, I learned the model. I know the model well. I've seen it. I know the possibilities of TV, what it does. It hits a completely different market than YouTube does. It hits a completely different market than social media does. And the deal is the more markets that you can actually put your hands into, the more successful you're going to be in the end. Why do you think Iaconelli continues to have TV shows? Why do you think Scott Martin is now on the Discovery Channel? There is big money and there's a lot of eyes in places that people have no idea about and can't reach. The deal is it's extremely hard to crack into TV just on your own and saying, you know what, I'm just going to start a TV show. It's just not how it works anymore. Maybe 15 years ago, 10 years ago, you could do that. It's just not like it is right now. So, being able to join forces with Barry, already having that viewership and being able to shoot shows and talk about my sponsors and things like that is a win-win for me. It helps me grow my brand, helps him grow his brand, and at the end of the day, it will work out greatly, I have a feeling.
Hey, you ever fished a team tournament there in Texas with Barry?
I have not. I fished a lot of team tournaments with Bradley Hallman and Todd Castledine and amongst others, but not with Barry, no.
Who's tougher to fish with?
Has that ever came up?
No, he's not a tournament guy. Like
I know.
He does not care about tournaments. I mean, he'll watch mine, and he'll always keep up. Like he always knows where I'm at and how I'm doing and that kind of stuff. But he really doesn't. It's not his forte. So
interesting.
How important is you have the YouTube, the TV? How important is the tournament aspect to you now? Is it still your main focus, or is it like 33%, 33%, 33%? And how important is it in your career to get to the Bassmaster Elite Series in the next couple of years? Or, as long as you're providing content, you're doing impressions, your sponsors are getting a value, are they kind of like, hey, as long as it takes is what it takes, or like, is there a window that you feel?
I mean, I feel like there's a window more so than anything, and mainly just because they want me to be there.
Mm-hmm.
They're not pressuring me. They're not pushing me to the extent of like, hey, you have 1 year and that's it. But at the same time, it's more of an expectation on myself. I really want to get there, and more so to prove to myself that I can. It's so hard to do, but I don't know. I just really enjoy fishing. I enjoy tournament fishing. I grew up tournament fishing. I love the YouTube aspect. I love the TV aspect. But at the end of the day, I want to be successful in tournaments. By fishing the elites, A, it gives me more exposure. B, it allows me to fish maybe one or two less events, and they're more congested in a time period, which makes my life a lot easier too, because it opens up about 6 months out of the year where I can do other things. So,
2012, what's special about that year? I believe you were the first college angler that got a berth in the Bassmaster Classic. Is that correct?
That is correct.
That would be Chris Lane's POW kneeling with it on the Red River. That was the first year that the college series had gotten big enough. I remember we covered it. There were a bunch of people saying, "Oh, now it's a staple." We've seen what those college anglers who fish in that classic have gone on to do. And Andrew was the very first one. How did that? I mean, do people still remember you for that, or are there any doors that are still opened because of that almost a decade ago? You were fishing for what, I believe, Stephen F. Austin?
I was. I fished for SFA, and, as far as doors being open for that, probably not so much anymore. Winning a couple of high-level tournaments like the Tour on Cherokee and Cumberland, that probably helped me a lot more. But the deal is it kind of, in my eyes, it helped catapult me into the scene. And let me just go on a limb and say that Chris Lane better be glad I lost an 8-pounder at the boat at that particular classic, because it almost turned out a bit different in that particular event. I know I didn't catch him on day 2 very well. I caught like 7 pounds, I think is what I weighed. And but I had a chance at the biggest bag I've ever seen on the Red River. And so it just wasn't my tournament. I was coming off a knee surgery at that particular event. I was literally 2 weeks out of a knee surgery. I could hardly walk. And so it just part of it.
Clay wants to know, were you throwing a crankbait then?
Let's see. At the national championship, I was throwing a crankbait. I did catch a few at the classic on a little square bill, a little Lucky Strike square bill. Yeah. And Matt knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So what's this what's this trip that you're going on in 2 days?
Yeah, I'm in 2 days. I'm headed to fish the Amazon for peacock bass with Scott and the crew. And and come to find out, I misscheduled one of my flights coming back, so we're trying to work on that right now. But it's exciting. I've never, I've gone out of the country, fished in Panama for Cubera snapper and some other stuff, roosters, fishing offshore. But I've always wanted to go to the Amazon and fish for peacocks. I have been told not to go swimming there. I don't, I feel like they're probably accurate, but
yeah. Hey man, how many cameras have you lost on the water? Zero. Really?
Yep. You got to knock on something now. That looks like it's wood behind. There you go.
Yeah, there we got some wood right. No, the deal is I'm extremely careful with my cameras. I'll anchor down my tripods if I'm running a big camera, and I typically have a camera person in the boat with all my shows. So if they lose one, it doesn't count. But no, they haven't lost one either. I've gotten close a few times, had some tripods fall over and things like that, but been really, really fortunate.
Poor Frank Jr.
What?
He's out there.
Yeah, he lost one.
Yeah, him and his dad recently lost one because of a boat wake where they were just sitting there and then boat came by and it was just a weird
you mentioned
deal.
Scott a couple times. How'd you get hooked up with him in that whole group?
It's so funny. Like I've been friends with Jacob Wheeler for a really long time. He was in my wedding. I knew him before he won all his stuff and became the most famous person in fishing in the last 6 years. And I still call him and I gave him a hard time. I still have a video of him trying to hit a golf ball and doing like the way he actually hits a golf ball is the Happy Gilmore run and hit it. Like that's legitimately how he hits one. And it is the funniest thing ever. And I'm saving it until the point where he thinks he's a really, really, really big deal, and then I'm gonna post it and bring him back down a level. But I was friends with Wheeler, and which in turn was friends with Matt Airy, which in turn was also friends with Scott, and we all kind of, when Wheeler left, like Matt was there, and then I fished with Matt, and then Matt left, and then it was Scott and I, and we'd actually had some beef early on in our career. And so I wasn't sure how that was going to work. And then we settled that. And we were cool and everything was good. And actually we became probably best friends. I mean, he is a huge mentor of mine and a big guide of mine as far as how to navigate the fishing industry, because it's a very fickle industry. It's very small, but there's a lot of opportunity there if you just open your eyes a little bit. And it's funny, when we were off air, Mark, you were actually asking me about the gaming aspect of things.
Yeah.
And talking about different possibilities, and I've seen a lot of the comments here talking about Warzone and esports and things like that, and that's definitely been an avenue that I've taken. And it's because of Scott. Truly, I mean, he's not into the gaming aspect of things necessarily. He does some of the stuff with the Bassmaster dovetail games, but as far as the actual gaming aspect of things, I saw the opportunity to reach a younger generation, kind of meet them on their level, to introduce them into fishing, and it definitely worked. I mean, I have all kinds of questions all the time. I still play a lot of games with a lot of my followers all the time, as far as on Call of Duty and things like that. So I still try to find time to spend time with those particular followers, because they really are become really good friends of mine.
You ever been into the whole gaming thing, Matt?
Nope.
Never.
No, first time I'd ever seen it was when we stayed at Norman and he hooked it up and played a little bit.
Really?
No. But I would be, can you, like, if next year, does that console have that Dovetail Bassmaster game?
I'm going to get it. I haven't gotten it yet, and I'm going to actually stream it some I actually had somebody screenshot it the other day, so I guess I was in one of the open tournaments or something on it, and I won the tournament, and the guy finished second by like an ounce.
Wow.
And because they have avatars in there of particular fishermen and things like that. So
yeah, I would play that. I'd be interested.
I was into gaming a little while.
No way.
Oh, Space Invaders, Missile Command, Galaga.
What's
you don't even know what that is.
Are those like arcade games?
Yeah.
Oh,
how do you not know what those are?
Because I'm not a gamer.
It doesn't matter. Those were staples. You don't know what Space Invaders are?
Here's what I did. I did Tetris and Minesweeper.
Gee, he probably doesn't even know what Pong was, Andrew.
That's a don't. I just have never been good at it. Like,
how do you not know what Space Invaders is?
Okay, so I played NHL 2K8 when I roomed with a couple buddies in college, and this is no joke because it's college. So we had it was me, Owen, and Greg, and we had a little whiteboard, and they would keep track of it it was my senior season, and I was like 0-278. I never won. And you just rotate, you play till you win. So I would play one game, then I'd have to wait a couple games and play another game. And I had a couple instances where I got within one goal of beating them, but most of the time it was like 12-2. And I mean, they just buried me. I never won. An entire year of 278 hockey games in EA Sports, and I was over.
Wow.
And it kind of traumatized me, and I haven't played since. If you want the honest story.
Wow. So how long are you going to be at the Amazon? 2 weeks?
Yeah. I think it's going to end up being about fishing for about, I don't know, 8 or 9 days, 8 days, 9 days, something like that.
Yeah.
I'm going to have time. I'm actually going to try to knock out a Let's Fish TV show, an international show. Now, granted, most of our shows are in the South, Texas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, Arkansas, all through there. But I'm going to try to squeeze in one. We are shooting 2 for the Scott Martin Challenge, which will probably be on Discovery Channel. So, I mean, and then on top of that, a lot of YouTube content. Actually, Lou sent me some of their brand new Super Duty gear, the Super Duty 300, amongst a couple of their new Super Duty rods to test out, and some new baits to test out. So I'm really looking forward to just trying some stuff and like seeing what happens and hopefully catching some really big peacocks. They did send me an email before a couple days ago that a 22-pounder was caught in this particular section of the river.
That's like topwater too, isn't it?
Oh, it's all topwater.
Yeah, it's topwater, spinnerbait, that kind of stuff. And the deal is where we are fishing is a private section of the river that only this particular outfitter is allowed to fish at all, and it hardly ever gets fished, and so we're probably going to catch the fire out of them.
That's awesome.
Wow. Hey, real quick, do you see the comment from Brent there? Wants to know if you've tried the new Lew's XD series rods.
That's the XD cranking rods. Yes, I have. They have a 3XD, 5XD, 6XD, 8XD, 10XD rod. The 3XD rod is fantastic. I like it a lot. I love the 8XD rod for 6XDs. That's the deal. Like a lot of these most rod companies, they'll label a rod, this is what this is for. But one thing that I've learned over time is that you just have to fit particular rods into how they fit for you. Don't worry about it, what it always says. One of my very favorite chatterbait, spinnerbait rods is a Magnum hammer. And if you watch any of my YouTube, you know that. but it is actually a worm rod. It was designed to be a worm rod, but it's fantastic for that particular stuff. So, that's my spiel on rods. Not to product push too much. I know y'all have stuff to do. So,
all right, man. Matt, final thoughts?
No, it's all good. I just thought that you would enjoy talking with Andrew. He's got a lot of different business adventures on the table heading into 2022.
Yeah, you don't have a whole lot of time.
I do want to say one thing. We did talk about something in the off air. We were talking about the last couple videos that I posted in regards to the angst between Bassmaster and MLF, and I really implore any of you that are interested in that kind of thing to go out there and check those videos out. The first one actually lit up some fires, I believe. And my deal is, my stance on it is, I believe that we got to figure out a way to work together and not work apart. I think that's really hurting our industry significantly. And so really hope that y'all go check that out. I think it would be worthwhile to listen to.
It's called The Great Divide Part 1 that came out a week. Oh, you're making some money on that, 11,000 views. And then The Great Divide Part 2, you're getting the beanie weenies on that one, 1.7 so far. So hopefully that'll pick up.
I never even promoted the second part. I just posted it and let it run. But and I didn't even tell anybody it was coming. So it just was one of those that I decided to post. It's a little bit longer, but it dives into the pro circuit, the Opens, the Toyota Series. And I actually had a special guest on the college aspect with Hayden Scott, which is the reigning 2021 college bass national champion. And he gives his thoughts on the college fishing aspect and how things are really hurting in that aspect. And one thing about my channel, and there's a lot of YouTube channels out there and they give a lot of content and things like that. One thing about my channel is it's very positive. Instead of just complaining about stuff, I try to give solutions to try to work towards a better future. And I think that's a big aspect of what I do. Is I think there's definitely a way to make things better. And actually I had a lot of comments on the first one, said that me and Mark from Bass Talk Live should get together and mediate between Bassmaster and Major League Fishing. And I'm like, I don't know if that's a really good idea, but I mean, I'm for it if you want to do it.
Hey, I find this interesting. So you've put out all these videos, and you probably don't even realize this, but this is something that I thought was interesting. So everyone, and I say this because I don't know whether you promote it a lot, but you throw spinning rod a lot too. You're a spinning rod guy, and we talk about that a lot. We're out there rigging up our spinning rods, and everyone's like, "Oh, whoa, yeah." Of your most popular videos, out of the hundreds that you have posted, I find this interesting. The fourth most popular, the fifth, the sixth, the eighth, the ninth, all finesse fishing stuff. Wacky tips. Number one wacky mistake: the forgotten finesse fishing rig, the chicken rig, which is kind of finessey. The Clear Lake Giants, where you have a spinning rod in the actual picture. Tail weighted plastics. That's all finesse stuff. So what you got is a bunch of people that are hating on the finesse fishing and then going and learning how to finesse fish. And the proof is in the pudding right here with all of Andrew's videos.
Yeah, and the other person sitting like right next to you, Mark, is the biggest finesse head that there is.
I know.
I mean, like, I think I'm a finesse fisherman, and I am at heart, but I've had to learn to put it down. And that dude right there is one of the most consistent anglers I've seen so far with a spinning rod in his hand in all situations, and has definitely made me hate myself sometimes when I'm out there. He's like, "Oh, I'm catching them on wacky rig. I've had 45 bites, and I've had 6 all day." And I'm like, "I hate you, Matt. I can't talk to you right now."
But here's the thing that Andrew will do that I won't. Andrew will drop down. Can I talk about the?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to talk about it. Yeah, I had to ask you. He'll drop down to 5 and 6 pound test, like without even thinking about it, without missing it, like really sketchy, like heartbreak stuff. Because like when you're on the finesse rig, you fight them long enough to where you realize, okay, I'm either going to land this and it's going to be a critical fish, or this thing is going to be seared into my memory for the next 10 years, and I'll always talk about the giant one that I broke off or lost. Because it's not like a crack, it's in the boat, oh my gosh, what happened? Like, you have time to sit there and think about it. Like, what it means, how big it is, the impact it could have on your overall life while you're fighting. You do when you're but dude, to see you rigging up 5 pound test, that kind of blew my mind, and then changed the way I kind of look at things too, is not being afraid to go down a little bit.
I mean, I caught big bass at St. Lawrence River on 5, which was like almost 7 pound smallmouth.
613 on 5 pound test.
Yeah. And then, I mean, I weighed in a fish at the Forestwood Cup in 2019 on 4 pound test. So not being afraid and trusting it's a lot more that has to do with trusting your equipment, practicing with that stuff though. I mean, I spent hours and hours and days on Lake Amistad drop shotting 4 pound line, catching fish in 70, 80, 90 foot of water, and learning 4 pound test the best that I could. And you know, talking about Aaron Martins, and the only reason I have any confidence in 4, 5, 6 pound tests is Aaron Martins. And Aaron was a humongous inspiration to me. More so, I know everybody has their Aaron Martin stories and stuff, but I literally learned my entire finesse game from Aaron Martins. And you talk about duplication or mimicking is the biggest form of flattery. I don't know the exact
imitation is the greatest form of flattery.
Yeah. And talk about truly trying to imitate an angler, having my worms perfectly lined up in my tackle box. I even had my tackle organized the way that he did, because I was like, I need to figure out a way to be like this guy because he is the best. No questions asked. There's not a better and will not be another better finesse fisherman out there as far as I'm concerned. The dude is unreal, was unreal. I watched him in the Classic, drop shotting 4 pound line in the Classic, 5 pound line, and having zero fear. And I learned, and I was like, you know what, I can be that guy. And I actually went out at my house on Toledo Bend, took out 5 pound test, spooled it on a spinning rod, and caught a 7.5 pounder walking the bank with a wacky rig. And I was like, you know what, I can do this. I'll figure this out. And so I did.
Wow. All right, man, we're gonna let you go, Andrew, but thank you so much for coming on. And man, be safe at the Amazon. Definitely want to hear about that trip.
Yeah, for sure. I will. I'll do my best, and like I said, I'll have a bunch of video going on with that, so make sure y'all stay tuned.
All right, man. Good luck to you, and we'll talk to you soon, man.
Thanks, dude.
Thanks, guys.
All right, see ya. All right, there you have it. Andrew Upshaw. Great stuff there, man.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure the Amazon is where they have that fish that looks like a worm, to where if you're like, if you pee in the water, you have to be careful that it doesn't lodge itself in an awkward position. I know he's gone. I see he's still listening there. So make sure you're not like wading in the water when you take a leak.
Just don't go in the water, period.
Yeah, I agree. That's
anything.
Probably.
Don't get out of the boat. Don't go over and do whatever you got to do.
It sounds like he's got the setup, though.
Yeah. Yeah. I would never do that. Would you do that? You'd probably do that. But the question is would you take a spinning rod and reel to the Amazon?
I would love to see a video of Upshaw with a peacock bass on a spinning rod.
With 4 pound test line.
Nah, that wouldn't work, and you don't want to lose those choppers. I think they're like pretty valuable. I wonder if they ever break out the finesse, like the guide hands you the finesse.
The wacky rig.
The wacky rig for the peacock bass. I don't think so.
There you go, Andrew.
I think
Catch a peacock bass on the wacky rig.
I think that's all aggression all the time over there.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take a break. Coming back, Matt has some info for his fellow anglers in Illinois.
Yeah, we're going to talk Illinois, and then we're going to talk about one of the craziest things that it probably won't ever happen again in the Wild West Team Trail and the Apex Series out there out west. I know while I was gone, you had a show about it.
Yeah.
And had you had Rick on?
Yeah.
And Ken Ma on.
Bunch of guys.
And then Ken Ma goes and does something that I will venture to say he will never do again.
All right. Everybody stay tuned. We'll be right back.
The Little John family of crankbaits designed by top tour pro John Cruz have excelled at catching bass in any condition for years. They all feature a flat-sided design and paint jobs that are seldom seen in mass production bait. The Little John family also expands with new rattling versions of the Little John 50 and Little John 50 MD. Both of these baits are proven fish catchers that will now be available in rattling versions for stained and muddy water. They feature the same great action and diving depths as the original 50 and MD sizes.
The Ned Rig. What rod should I be using with the Ned Rig? My favorite is the Denali Lithium multi-spin rod. It's our 7'4" length, great Ned Rig rod. It's got a great sensitive tip on it. It's long enough where I can make long casts, which you're usually fishing clear water with a Ned Rig, and it's got enough backbone to get those fish in. So check it out, Denali Lithium Series 7'4" multi-spin.
Pro-inspired, pro-designed. Tested and proven by legends on the water. Dominating the tournament trail for over 50 years. Everything you need, one legendary brand. Strike King.
Hey guys, Major League Fishing Pro, Jacob Wheeler here with my new Signature Series line of rods with Duck It Fishing. We have my 7.2 cranking rod right here. Crankbaits can be very fickle, and having the right, having a lot of tip can be too much, and having not enough tip can, lose a lot of fish. So you really got to be careful. If there's one or two techniques that I'm really adamant about having the perfect action is a crankbait, especially like a square bill, a DT6, those medium running crankbaits in the springtime when those fish's mouth are pretty tough. That's when I'm really on top of having my actions just perfect.
Everybody loves to chase bass on the water. But is your most valuable asset protected when it's not on the water? Empire Covers can preserve your bass boat against even the harshest conditions. When the storm is coming, that bass boat needs to be protected. Check out EmpireCovers.com for all your cover needs. Empire Covers is the ultimate solution when it comes to protecting that asset. Empire Covers is the ultimate solution in easy protection for your truck, for your boat, for your car, anything that needs to be protected from the elements. BTL listeners can receive free shipping plus an extra 15% off their entire order on EmpireCovers.com. Just use the promo code BTL at checkout. Empire Covers. Protect what you love. All right, we are back. Wrapping up Tuesday. And Matt, you got a couple of items that you looked into. What's going on?
All right, so remember that Apex Series deal? It's like they take like a select group of the anglers from out west.
Yeah.
And then they have like a mix of every fish counts, number of keepers. Then you also have your total weight. And then they take the top 5 with the most fish and the top 5 with the total weight and combine them all. And then the top 10 zero and fish for their 5 biggest.
Yep.
You can go look up the rules. That's the basis of it.
Okay.
So anyway, Ken Ma, and I say this, so I met Ken, and he's going to be a guest next week on BTO, next Monday, I believe.
All right. Little West Coast
talk,
flair.
But I met Ken. I'll just set the stage now. I met Ken at the World Series of Bass in 2012.
What was that dude's name?
Joe Habib.
That's it. Joe Habib. Who knows where Joe is right now?
That might be worth hiring a private eye. Anyway, basically, he didn't pay the media or the television deal. It was on NBC Sports. It was a big break for golf, except for fishing. We did a bunch of series of skills. That was when Livingston Lures first came out, so we had like Livingston Lure challenges. I've talked about this before. Anyway, Ken was one of them, and I kind of hit it off with Ken, and we've been friends ever since then. And there's no other way to say it. Ken is a certified badass, Mark.
He is.
He tracks down bad guys. And but he's also really good on the water. So here, let me see if I can set this up. You ready?
Yep.
So they had the Wild West Apex Cup on October 24th on Lake Berryesta. The final day, so the top 10 anglers, were postponed until November 8th because of really severe weather, like really bad winds, storms. So instead of, a lot of these guys have jobs, so instead of doing that, they postponed it until yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the Wild West Pro-Am Championship was on November 7th on the Delta. I'm going to get emails if I get this wrong. So this is a big deal. They give away a Cougar, I believe, the boat.
Yes.
Valued at $75,000.
Yes.
So Ken, having already won an Apex Series Cup earlier this year, goes and wins the not a team trail, the Wild West Bass Trail Pro-Am Championship on the 7th. Big trophy.
Mm-hmm.
Woo! I've won 2 in 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
Then drives to Lake, I believe, Berryesta the following day, which was yesterday. And this was confusing because it was like him on his Instagram holding all these trophies, but they were different trophies, and I couldn't figure out, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like within a 24-hour. Wins the Apex Cup, and back-to-back days wins an Apex Cup and the Wild West Pro-Am. And has had like 6 top 10s this year, including 3 wins.
He's pretty good friends with his banker.
It's like well over $100,000.
Yeah.
And just the way that it all worked out. So he won a boat and like 20-some in less than 24 hours, won 2 giant trophies.
Yeah.
With the same trail, different tournaments.
That's pretty cool.
Just the way it worked out.
Very, very cool.
That probably will never happen again. Would you venture to say?
The odds are extremely high.
All right. You know what I don't think they had to do, though? You have anything else? So, yeah, we'll have Ken on. He's going to talk about it. If I got it wrong, he will correct me.
Illinois.
Yes. So I got a couple. This was something that had come up a couple weeks ago that they're talking about, and I grew up in Central Illinois. And Terry Brown. How long have you known Terry with Wired to Fish?
Long time.
Over 20 years?
Yeah.
Good dude.
Probably 25.
Good dude.
Yeah. Good dude.
Really good industry dude.
Yep.
And a good dude in general.
Yep.
Central Illinois. The first thing that I ever did recorded, ever, in my entire life with Bass Zone.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember I'd only been working for you for like a month or 2, and we stopped by the Wired to Fish studios in Illinois.
Yeah.
And we were talking about an upcoming tournament. And they said, well, let's do a deal with Mark and Terry previewing this tournament. This was way back before live or anything. So it would have been 2008.
Maybe even 7.
I might have even been an intern. This was the very first thing I ever did.
Yeah.
And they put 3 chairs up there. And they wanted, and I was up there, and I actually and I just remember thinking, I don't even know what this lake looks like.
Yeah.
Like, how am I going to talk about it? Because I was, behind the scenes with Basso for so long.
Yeah.
I organized photos and got you guys coffee during the XM days.
Yeah.
Anyway, side note. But they come out with this deal, and it's been kind of like a couple years in the makings. They made it a couple years ago, or years where you had to get like a permit to fish a tournament in Illinois, and they said it was to keep the crowds down on the lake, and they said it was so that they could do studies on the fish populations and all this, and they swore that it wasn't for priming for fees, and so that where they knew all the tournaments were going out of. Well, Illinois, which is not, it's not like does not have a pristine government reputation. I don't know if you've known that. I think we have like 2 governors that are not currently incarcerated.
Okay.
Or intoxicated. I almost said that.
Right.
And this is, I'll just read parts of what Terry, basically, you got to pay a lot. And then they take a lot to fish, even like a club tournament now in Illinois. Like you can't just say, hey, we're having a club tournament.
So is it like a permit?
Yeah, so get this. So last week, the Illinois Department of Natural Resources adopted Administrative Rule Section 810.90 and Administrative Rule 10.4 specific for fishing tournaments, a $25 permit fee for tournaments with more than 20 participants. So that's 10 boats, folks.
Wow.
And a tax of 10% of the total purse. So if you're the Assumption Bass Club in Central Illinois, and you've got 12 boats, and you want to go fish Shelbyville for a day, you got to pay your $25 permit fee, and then whatever the total purse is, You got to pay a 10% tax on that.
The organization that's putting it on.
I believe so.
And then, if you win over, I think $600 is the cutoff, then you got to pay taxes on that.
So this is what he said. He said the state is looking for additional funds and finding it in the pockets of unprepared tournament anglers who were told this would not happen. It seems like it was slipped in at the last minute. Permits for 2022 had already been applied for. This will certainly deter. Now think about this. So they had the Bassmaster All-Star Weekend, which Aaron Martins won.
Yeah.
In Decatur, Illinois. Big deal. Guys still talk about it when I come home. Gerald Swindle was there. Remember, he said, I hope y'all better take care of the 3 bass that are in this place. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It will certainly deter national organizations from bringing revenue-generating events to Illinois moving forward.
Wow.
I have not heard if this will impact charity events. Most tournaments are not run by organization, rather by folks in clubs and small groups who just want to go fish for a little dough and bragging rights. Some have national ties, but most are locally run.
So is it going to turn into the weekend poker game, basically, where...
Or it's a 10-boat max. Or 10-boat max, 20 people. 20 people is 10 boats, Mark.
Yeah.
So that would apply
That's
to
a shame,
all the
man.
BFLs, Illini team trails, all that stuff.
So Terry's on a mission.
Almost all of the clubs.
Terry's on a mission. He's going to do
now I'm
everything
seeing
he can.
JD says, but that's only on IDNR managed lakes, so Shelbyville is not in place since it's an Army Corps lake.
Huh.
Anyway, point of the matter is,
bad deal.
You better hope this doesn't become a national trend.
Wow.
And he said last year they raised the trailer license fees from $18 to $118.
Huh.
He wants to know where the funds went, Mark.
Good question. Good question. Who knows, man? Who knows? Wow, that is really, that's got to be the only state in the country that has anything. I don't think California has anything like that, which you would think that California might.
It's not a very derby-friendly state based on this.
No?
There's a lot of people who enjoy fishing a lot of like the little winter jackpots and all sorts of stuff like that.
I think Oklahoma is one of the few states that you do not have to pay tax on your trailer to license because we don't have to have tags on the trailers here in Oklahoma.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if it says it, but JD would know because if you need a kayak, go see JD.
JD's saying that the trailer tax is really bad in Illinois. Anyway, so wow, that's not a good deal, man.
No,
not a good deal at all. I'm still blown away that you had no idea what Space Invaders was.
Still don't. There's a time we got 8 minutes.
Dude, you never played the Space Invaders? Unbelievable.
Oh, I've seen it. It looks familiar.
Wow. I'm a little surprised by that. All right, we're going to continue Business Week. Tomorrow, a first-time guest to BTL, Matt. Set it up for us.
Daniel Whitehouse. He's a lawyer in Florida. You've talked to him a little bit.
Yeah.
I've talked to him a little bit. Has some innovative ideas for angler sponsorship that he believes would generate more revenue to the guys who need it to fish without having to rely on year-to-year sponsorship from X company, Y company, Z company. And if that guy catches fish, everyone benefits. I did check. There is no PowerPoint, unfortunately.
We shall see about that little venture that he has. I can't wait to talk about it.
It sounds like it is right up your alley.
It is.
Right up your alley with the manifestos and the golden tickets.
Yeah.
And the teams and all sorts of your interesting ideas.
We shall see. So make sure you tune in tomorrow, and then obviously Thursday, everybody's favorite day of the week. Mr. Frank Scalish on Thursday with Day 4. So that's kind of the plan for the rest of the week. I want to thank Andrew Upshaw once again.
Safe travels.
Yeah, if you didn't check out the beginning of this show, make sure you go back, listen.
What do you have
watch.
to take? Like, you have to take like all sorts of.
I have no idea.
To make sure you scurvy. I don't think you get scurvy.
I've never been anywhere internationally except Canada and Mexico. That's it. That's not really international. It's like North America.
You have to. I think they have to worry about getting attacked by like capybaras.
I know there's a lot of stuff down there, dude, but I want no part of that.
Like giant anteaters, anacondas, piranhas.
Yeah, I want no part of that.
I think there's jaguars and all sorts of angry large cats. What is that?
Angry cats. I don't know, man. Would you do that trip? Would you go?
No.
No?
Particularly. I mean, yeah, I would go. They have electric eels, poison dart frogs, black caimans, vampire bats.
No.
Harpy eagles.
I want to make it to 60, all right? So
all sorts of stuff that'll kill you.
Not interesting.
And those aren't even like the fur-bearing creatures.
No. All right, great show, folks.
Yeah,
Back tomorrow.
I would go. It's a life
believe that.
experience.
All right, very cool. You can go to Goaty Boat, too, and noodle for catfish if you want.
I've done that. I have done that.
All right, folks, back tomorrow. Same time right here on BTL. That's it. We're out of here.